to make better than sex ribs.
Yeah.
AmazingRibs.com describes ribs as any kind of smoked meat. You can smoke beef, brisket, you can smoke pork. The ribs I'm going to choose today are going to be pork ribs. And if you go to AmazingRibs.com, you can also find out there's different kind of pork ribs. There's the baby back rib, which is the most popular rib, and it's closer to the spine. Just like on us, the pig's over like this, the baby back's closer on the spine. These are St. Louis style ribs. They're the middle section of the rib. You get more meat on them. They're known to not be as tender, but that's just how much love you put into them is going to decide how tender they are. Not what style of meat it is. These are St. Louis baby back ribs, or St. Louis style ribs, not baby back. And the first thing you're going to want to do is get your rib. This is my rib today. I didn't want to bring in any bloody meat. So this is my rib. And the first thing you're going to do when you get your rib, you're going to take some hickory liquid smoke. I don't have a smoker at home, so it's hard for me to really go out and slow smoke the ribs. So I take my liquid smoke, I pour it in a pan, half and half with lime juice. Today I cooked 3 ribs. I use maybe a half gallon of each. If you're just doing one rib for yourself, what you're going to see is going to be kind of pointless. When you smoke ribs, it lasts longer, so you can keep it up to a week, so you're going to want to cook more. So if you use the half gallon, you'll be able to cook off 3 full racks of ribs. You soak them in the lime juice and the liquid smoke for 2 hours. After you let them smoke for 2 hours, your second step is going to be pull them out of that and put them in a sheet pan. My baking pan at home is the one I used to cook this, so it was dirty, so I just grabbed this for an example. I'm going to split my ribs in half. You can take that, you can take a knife, you'll be able to cut the rib in half. You're going to line them up in here. So if you let them soak for 2 hours, you're going to take your seasoning. Everybody's got a handout with the different seasonings on it. The seasoning mix is step 3. I like to create this step on the side while the oven's preheating. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to take all those ingredients. I'm going to take salt, I'm going to take paprika, I'm going to take Lowry salt, red pepper, white pepper. I'm going to mix all these ingredients together and I'm going to create the spice. I'm going to take some of this spice and I'm going to come in and just sprinkle it on my ribs. You don't want to do too light of a sprinkle because this is the only seasoning you're going to put on. So you want to make sure they're covered and it's got a nice layer on there. Later when you char these up, how much seasoning you put on there depends on how much crisp you get on that top layer, how crispy that's going to be. So step 4, I season the ribs. I've got them in here. I'm going to go ahead and put the ribs in the oven. I take the ribs, I put them in the oven. I'm going to cook them just for an hour. After I cook them for an hour, I'm going to take them out. Here's what's going to make these ribs better than any other ribs you cook. You're going to take the ribs, you're going to take some saran wrap, and you're going to wrap over the top, like so. Cut it up. You're going to make sure it's airtight all the way around. What this is going to do, it's essentially going to steam the ribs in their own fat. So as they're sitting there baking, it just keeps going on and they can't get out. So it keeps breaking down the meat. The longer the meat cooks, the molecules spread apart and the meat becomes more tender. Not only am I going to put the saran wrap over the top, I'm going to take tin foil because I don't want any light to get in. And also in my oven, sometimes it's easier for the saran wrap to melt away. So I put this tin foil on top of it, do the same thing, go around the edges, make sure no air can get in, no air can get out. This is going to keep my tin foil from ribbing and making sure my ribs stay inside and stay juicy. Step 5, I'm going to put them back in the oven. This is where it's going to take a long time. It's going to take 8 hours in the oven, 200 degrees. So it's kind of like you get them started at 10 o'clock, you know, you got some friends coming over at 6. You got to start them early. But if you spend all that time on them, you're going to end up with tender ribs. You're not going to have to be scraping meat off the bone. You know, the ribs are eaten out, you can take the bone and pull it out and it's clean. You know, there's no meat on there. So after 5 hours in the oven, I'm going to pull them out. You want to be careful pulling it out because when you lift up, you're going to have condensation in here. Steam's going to rise out. If you're down here trying to peek, it's going to burn your face. You'll end up with a blister. Step 6, carefully unwrap the ribs. You're carefully going to unwrap the ribs. I've got some tongs at home. I'll get them out. The tongs, they're going to be hot. And if I'm ready to eat them now, I'll put my barbecue sauce on them and I'll put them on the plate. If I'm saving them for when my friends come over, I want to be the cool guy, made delicious ribs for everybody on Super Bowl. I take them out and I just put them in the fridge. My friends are coming over in 3 or 4 hours. I pull those same ribs out that I've already cooked, add barbecue sauce, go outside and put them on my grill. Or if it's winter time and your grill's outside and you can't get to it, turn the broiler on in the oven, put it on the top rack, until they're charred across the top. Once you see a black char starting to create on your spices, you know that your ribs are ready. Your barbecue sauce will thicken up, and you can pull them out and be ready to serve delicious, better than sex barbecue ribs.